All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to unpack an incredible story that's also a really powerful financial blueprint. We're breaking down step by step how one person climbed out from under six figures of debt to become a millionaire. It's a journey that proves it's totally possible, so let's get into it.
So this is where it all starts. Negative $110,000. I mean, just imagine seeing a number like that next to your name. For a lot of people, that feels like a completely impossible hole to climb out of. It's that crushing weight of student loans and credit card debt that so many of us face.
And to be crystal clear, this wasn't some hypothetical situation. This was the real-world starting line for the author Josh Miller. This negative balance, this was ground zero for a journey toward total financial freedom.
So that really brings us to the big question here, right? How do you actually get from that deep in the red to a place of financial strength? What is the roadmap? Well, that's exactly what we're about to lay out.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning. This massive mountain of debt he was staring at right after college. It's a story a lot of us know, but how he decided to tackle it, well, that's what makes all the difference. So here's the breakdown of that $110,000 hole, a staggering 100 grand in student loans, and on top of that, 10,000 in credit card debt. This basically created a two-front war. You've got the high-interest credit card debt, which is like a five-alarm fire you have to put out immediately, and then the student loans, which just feels like this weight that's never going to go away. So, facing this mountain, the first 5 years were all about the grind. This wasn't about finding some magic bullet or a get-rich-quick scheme. No, it was about the consistent, disciplined, and honestly pretty difficult daily actions that slowly start to build real momentum. And these were the absolute foundational steps. First up, you've got to track every single dollar. You need to know where your money is actually going. Second, you have to be ruthless about cutting out unnecessary expenses to free up cash. And third, you take every spare dollar you find and you throw it at that high-interest debt first. These three steps, they're the non-negotiable starting point for anybody on this path. So after 5 years of that intense work, he hit this huge milestone. His net worth was finally getting close to zero. Now, I know what you're thinking. Zero doesn't sound like much of a victory. But trust me, it is a massive, massive turning point. It means you're no longer financially underwater. You're on solid ground for the first time. Every dollar you earn from that point on is actually building your future, not just paying for your past. Okay, so once he was back at zero, how did he start to accelerate the progress? This is where a few key strategic moves came into play that just completely changed the speed of the game. So the first big accelerator was focusing on the other side of the equation, your income. He more than doubled his earnings through focused career moves and strategic job changes. And this is so crucial. While cutting your costs is vital, dramatically increasing your earning power, that's what pours gasoline on the fire of your financial progress. We're talking negotiating raises, developing new skills, or even switching companies for a big pay bump. And this slide, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? The second accelerator. He got married, and managing money went from one-player mode to two-player mode. By getting on the same page about their financial goals and committing to live below their means together, they were able to supercharge their savings in a way that would have been so much harder to do alone. And the result of that teamwork and the bigger income? A combined savings rate of over 50% of their gross income. Just let that sink in for a second. They were saving more than half of every single dollar that came through the door. That is how you build wealth, and fast. So let's just put this whole thing on a timeline, right? At year zero, he's at negative 110 grand. By year 5, those nasty high-interest credit cards are gone. And by year 9, after joining forces with his wife, all of the student loan debt was completely, totally wiped out. The debt mountain had officially been conquered. So, with the debt gone, the next phase begins, actually building wealth. And this brings us to what the author calls the single most important milestone of the entire journey, that first $100,000 in net worth.
And this quote from Josh just perfectly captures the feeling. See, getting to that first 100K feels like this constant, grinding, uphill battle. But once you hit it, something shifts. The momentum changes. And suddenly, it really does feel like you're cruising downhill and your progress starts to pick up speed all on its own.
And here's why that feeling is so real. This is the point where the magic of compound interest really, truly kicks in. Your money starts making money. And then the money that your money made starts making even more money.
The game just completely changes from a constant grind to a process that starts to propel itself forward. So, what can we all take away from this incredible journey? Well, the author boils it all down into a clear 5-step financial roadmap that really anyone can follow. Here they are, the 5 core principles. 1. Take your debt seriously. You have to face it head on. 2. Actively work to increase your income. That's the fuel for your fire. 3. Live below your means, and that's no matter how much you earn. 4. Invest early and consistently to really unleash that power of compounding. And number 5, if you have a partner, get on the same page and play as a team.
You know, the most powerful thing here is that this isn't just a story about luck or some secret investment trick. It's a blueprint. It's built on discipline, strategy, and patience. It's a repeatable game plan that shows a clear path from being buried in debt to having real financial security.
So look, it really doesn't matter where you are in your financial life right now, whether you're at negative 100 grand or you're working your way towards that first magical 100,000. The principles are the same. The most important step you can take is always the next one. Your journey starts now.